Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran. I'm here with Yanzi, and today is the day we are talking about the comic book sales data coming in. This is quite interesting and interesting slash gloom. We have heard from years how Dogman YA novels are going to form new readers. Like it's just going to cultivate new readers. It's going to make a new stock of readers come along into comics, buy comics, buy our superhero books. We just have to wait for them to age out of YA books and look for superhero stuff. Looking at this data, it actually shows the only thing that YA books are doing is maybe producing and farming a new readership that will buy manga. That's it. Let's get down to these numbers.
So finally, the beat here is conceding that, yeah, comic book sales are sagging. But don't worry, you guys, Classic is doing better than ever. Now, when you think about it, yes, it's great that you have all these YA readers, 38% of the graphic book market, according to what they're saying in the sales chart. Now, though, manga is 49%, practically half of all the graphic novels sold in the United States of America is basically an import.
Mhm.
All right. And the most scary part about this sales data is that Marvel and DC, what people call the big two of the direct market, people who know all about superheroes know about Marvel and DC, they don't even own 10% of the graphic novel market anymore. Think about that.
Yeah. And we're talking about companies that own characters that are dominating Hollywood or have been dominating Hollywood in all media. That's arguable. We're at the brink of superhero fatigue. And we'll touch back on that here in a second. But you're talking about characters that are known in whatever country you go to. Everybody's heard of Batman. Everybody's heard of Superman, Spider-Man. These characters are world famous. Can't even make up 10%. That is crazy. Where does this leave YA? So YA is our future, right? So how much of that is how much of the market is YA?
38% of the market is YA. So obviously, people have been saying for, I think, more than a decade now, they're saying all these YA readers will grow up and they will come in and start reading your Batmans, your Supermans, your Spider-Mans. Well, the interesting fact is, I'm sure that more than 10 years has passed, this crop of readers that they've been banking on should have materialized. But for some reason, the only segment that's really growing is the manga segment. So there is a pretty good hint that wherever these readers are going, it's not in towards the Marvel and DC section.
So if you look at this just straight from the numbers and a market type of standing, pull yourself out of the what is Dogman, what is manga, and what is superhero books. If you just look at the data, right, and the playing field and the market, you have 38% of readers that are going to grow out of that 38% and look for other comics to read. What are the odds that they're going to join the 10% of the market, or are they going to join to 50% of the market? And this is a bit of the problem is manga or that 50% of the market. And again, try not to draw a label to these numbers. That 50% of the market is almost got its own center of gravity at this point because it's 50% of the market. So that 38% is going to be pulled to that 50% of the market because it's 50% of the bookstore, it's 50% of the advertising, it's 50% of God knows how many t-shirts, commercials, 50% of their friends are going to tell them about it. All of that. That's just how it's going to work. That 10% of the American comic book superhero market, even if they want to read it, they're going to have a harder time coming across that 10%. It's only 10%. They have to go through 50% of manga to get to the 10% of the superhero market. And that is just logistically, and I know we all read comics, we all like anime, manga, all of that stuff, but you have to look at it through the eyes of a customer, and just how accessible the product is does have an effect on how successful a product will become. And this is the problem the American comic book industry has right now, is even if the intentions were, and I don't think they were, I don't think people writing Dogman give a shit where their customers go in the future once they lose them. I really don't. But even if, let's say, their intentions were they will become like X-Men readers, Superman readers, whatever, they can't control them. They can't shoot them to the superhero market, to DC Comics, to Marvel. Again, the product would have to be accessible, and in publishing, market share is a big factor in your book selling. I hate to say that. That's why Marvel and DC would flood the shelves constantly trying to knock competition out of comic shops to the point where, I mean, everything's so superhero heavy, right? So, what's your predictions on this going into the future?
Well, I'll tell you what my prediction is, but first, let's see what DC has been doing trying to grab onto this YA audience. Now, 2 years ago, they came up with this webtoon venture where they tried to make a bunch of superhero comics that they think would appeal to the preteens and teens. The most famous one is called Batman Wayne Family Adventures. Now you can see 116 episodes, i.e. issues, or what we call it. 1.4 million people actually read it frequently. And look, this webtoon has been viewed a total of 116 million times. Now, you think something like that, it would totally end up being like a Law Olympus kind of thing, which is also from webtoon, by the way. And they'll be like, oh, we will grab all this audience here, all these eyeballs, and bring it into our physical bookstore to buy the Wayne Family Adventures, right?
Actually, you would think it would do better than the Olympus book because this is recognizable IP, that people know.
Well, I hate to break it to you, dear, but the truth of the matter is that, okay, you know what? Why don't you try guessing how many copies of the physical collection of Batman Wayne Family Adventures sold?
500,000.
You sure don't try again?
All right, 100,000.
6,700 copies.
Wow, nobody cared.
See, this is DC trying to grab onto the teen audience, and obviously, even though they are so accessible, they're on webtoon, you guys. It's free to read. And yet, these readers are not interested in going to the bookstore to buy Batman. I guess maybe the readers are just not that interested in buying collections after all. Look at it over here. Data says DC had a pretty bad year, with their lowest sales since 2004, down 25% from 2022 in the book sale market. Wow. Okay, yikes. And they only had 14 titles in the top 750. Oof. I bet it's all the classics, Batman Long Halloween, Batman Year One, all that kind of stuff. Now, how about Marvel, though? Wow. One book in the top 750. Okay, you know what, guys? You know what this data is telling us? It's telling us that nobody gives a damn about the collector editions from Marvel or DC.
Not so much. I mean, the reality is I came across this recently at C2E2. I saw like a oversized print edition of the issues that McFarlane had with Venom, right? Spider-Man Venom McFarlane. You'd think like, I gotta have that. The reality is I already had that. I bought it in singles when I was a kid. I bought it in omnibus 2 times. Those issues that printed, and I have the artist edition. I do not need another edition of a great comic. Unfortunately, the American comic book industry is at the point where they actually have to roll up their sleeves and make some good comics for me to buy. And that is a problem for them because they need capital to do it. And again, they have 10% of the market. That means they have 10% of the money. They don't have the capital to actually make new classics. And that's part of the problem. And they don't need just one, they need like a lot. And as far as the collected editions go, look, you can only sell that old stuff to me so many times. I can only put it on my shelves so many times right now. And I don't know. They're kind of going through like a lot of the 90s right now in the omnibus, if you're following that, which I am. And I'm getting to the point where I know I only have, I don't know how many more I need, and I'm done. I'm finite. That's it. There's no big run or classics or great artists I need to collect like that. So I don't know. On that end, if Marvel and DC are hoping to prop that up, I mean, these things are built to last, these omnibus, unless you're dropping them. I mean, they're sitting on your shelf and I'm not buying it again.
Well, though, for people who want to say, yeah, you guys, people just don't care about the comic book format anymore. Well, look at this. IDW has the best sale of any traditional comic book publisher. Now, they had this book called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin.
Mhm.
They sold 140,000 copies in the second year on the chart. So what this tells us is that if there is a popular book that's good word of mouth, it will continue selling year after year after year. And unfortunately, that is not happening for Marvel and DC from what the sales chart is telling us.
The reason that is, though, and I kind of hate using The Last Ronin as a good example, is it wasn't like a super expensive buy-in. Like it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, this one book. Anything that goes on at Marvel and DC right now it's an event. You have to buy like X amount of issues. It's cheaper if you just sit it out and then wait and see if people care about it later on. They're in a really weird way that I don't know if they could sell a hit comic again. It would need to be a standalone event, and it would need to be marketable. And even if they do, like with the Mark Silvestri Batman stuff, have a big thing like that. The problem is they're putting out so many Batman books that they start to compete with one another in just marketing. The last Ronin was a little bit different, but you guys let us know what's your thoughts about the future, especially when you're looking at this percentage of market. Do you think it's possible that 30-some% of the market, those customers will transition to 10%, or they'll just go into the 50%? That's really what we're looking at as far as hard numbers go. If you guys will also, people are getting Inglorious Rex, so those are shipping out now. If you were a customer, please make sure your address has been updated through Nine Lives Comics or Indiegogo, wherever you did. Make sure to contact us if your address has changed. Don't just change it on the sites. Actually contact us so we get you your books. Also, Shane Davis's Axcend Level Up will be coming down fairly soon. We crossed $115,000. And if you guys are looking for Inglorious Rex 2 in the Nine Lives Comics bundle pack at the bottom for $125, you can get Starlight Cats, Inglorious Rex 1, Inglorious Rex 2, Axcend Respawn, and Axcend Level Up all in one tier. It's a great bargain. Go check that out, especially on the shipping end. And I'll leave you guys with a trailer for this smash hit comic.
I dream of a world carefully crafted, beautifully flawed. This is Axcend. In this game of life, there is one thing that determines a victor. A player's ability to grow. A player's ability to evolve. A player's ability to survive. My name is Dog. Choose to play. Choose to upgrade. Choose to level up. Choose to Axcend.